time for my devotional. I've been away the first part of this week, so I haven't been able to get on until now. But here I am. So let's take a look at the next verse in our series. We're working through Proverbs, and we've made it to chapter 8, verse 11. And so that's where we are today. So I'm just going to read it, and then I'm going to go into it. It's very similar to yesterday's passage. It's an extension of the same thought, but I want to just grab it from a slightly different angle. But in these verses, in this portion of Proverbs, we have wisdom talking to us as if she were a woman in the street, calling out to us and calling us. And so she's saying things about herself and about what she offers. And so here it is in verse 11. She says to us, "For wisdom is better than jewels, and all desirable things cannot compare to her." Now, the last verse 10, talked about how it's better than silver and gold. And so there's this very similar theme going here. But I'm going to read this again. "For wisdom is better than jewels, and all desirable things cannot compare with her." And so there's a sense between these two verses, and in this one for sure, of comparing having wisdom to other pursuits. Now, it's using treasure, silver, gold in verse 10, and then jewels here, diamonds, rubies, whatever, here in verse 11. But this sense that if you're pursuing one or the other, like, it's better to get wisdom, better than all the treasures, right? All the various wonderful things. And then just to really make that point, it says all desirable things cannot compare with her, with wisdom, with what she has for us. And so there's the statement. Now, today I want to focus on this idea of, is it a dichotomy? So when we think about a dichotomy is when there are only two options. So you can think of, on or off. Is it on or off, right? Is it, are you married or are you a bachelor? There's no in between. It's one or the other. They're mutually exclusive things, usually, is what we think about when we think about a dichotomy. Light, dark, anything in between is actually just a bunch of light, or less light, and then it's dark, it's like that. And so here's the thing. Is this a dichotomy? Is the Bible telling us that wisdom and wealth are mutually exclusive things, that you can really only have one or the other? And so, another way to look at it is, if you have one, does it somehow prevent you from having the other? And I think the answer to that is no. It doesn't automatically prevent it. So wisdom, being a wise person, doesn't prevent you from having wealth. And having wealth doesn't prevent you from having wisdom. And so it's not that those two things, the acquisition of those things, will prevent the other in that sense. But what this is trying to say is that there is a definite counterproductivity to the pursuit of these two things. If you pursue wisdom more than anything else, there's going to be a cost to that. There's going to be times you're going to have to say no to wealth, for instance. And then if you pursue wealth rather than wisdom, or over wisdom, then there are going to be times then wisdom will get cast aside, because the pursuit of the wealth, it takes priority. And so in that sense, there is a sort of dichotomy. You can't have it both ways. So wisdom doesn't prevent wealth. In fact, often being wise will help you have a more prosperous future. And so there's some good things there. But when the pursuit of one of these things overtakes the other, then there's a cost. When we think about our priority lists in life, our priority list it's not really about determining what you will get. In a way, a priority list is about determining what you won't, right? What you're willing to pay. Not always is it just, we usually think of it more of the positive sense of what I want to obtain. But a priority list, in a sense, it can be seen as a thing. What are you willing to give up? And so if I'm prioritizing, work over family, well, then I'm giving up family for work. Or if I prioritize family or work, well, then I'm giving up work for family. And so in a sense, our priority list is more about what we're willing to not have in light of the other thing. And so this is kind of like that. It's kind of say you've got to prioritize things in such a way that you realize that wisdom's the thing not to give up. The other thing is the thing. If you're going to give something up, it's the other thing. It's wealth or anything desirable, jewels, right? Anything desirable, anything else you might go, I'd like to have that. Well, if it comes to that and wisdom, it's better to give up that than wisdom. Wisdom should be the most desired thing of it all. All the other desirable things just don't compare. And so we really should be willing to give them up for the sake of wisdom. And that's what this verse is saying. If we prioritize wisdom over, say, wealth, treasure, whatever, at some point you're going to have there's going to be a cost. You're going to lose some treasure in order to maintain your wisdom. And if you did prioritize wisdom, at some point it's going to cost you wisdom. You're going to be a fool at some point because you prioritize it. So you were willing to give up wisdom. Now, eventually things come against each other. It's not inherent, but it is inevitable. So think of it this way: whatever it is you value in life, and you put in a high priority place, the other things that are in lower priority place will eventually, it just will happen. Like I say, it's not inherent, but it is inevitable. At some point, the things on your priority list are going to clash. Because they're not the same thing. So at some point, they're going to clash. And in the pursuit of wisdom, we need to go, well, that's going to win. And I'm going to decide that before the clash ever comes. It's going to win. I want wisdom. I want God's wisdom. Now, one of the confusions in this is that we sometimes think of wisdom as something I want to get smarter, right? I want to, to be the proverbial wise person, and is to pursue getting smarter. But that's not really the lesson in Proverbs in the same way. It is there, but it's not only that. But it's the idea of wisdom isn't just about learning what is good to do or learning what is wise to do, but it's the doing of the wise. The pursuit of wisdom is actually the lifestyle of being wise. And so you live your life in a certain way, and that's what the pursuit of wisdom is. The wise way is the pursuit of wisdom. So I will endeavor always to do the wise thing right now. And so when the moment of testing comes between the priority lists, it's not you don't have to go, well, I wonder which is no, it's like, no, I've chosen a way of wisdom. And so the cost in this case may be this or maybe that, but I'm going to live wisely. And that's the pursuit of wisdom, is the application of it. If you're thinking about wisdom but never apply it, never live it, never ever have those moments where you're willing to pay the cost for it, then you're not actually pursuing wisdom. You're just thinking about that stuff. When the cost comes, that's when you find out what you're really pursuing. When you're willing to say, I'm going to give this up for that. And so God's wisdom is worth giving up everything for. Everything else, it's worth saying, yeah, I'll pay the price to be that moral person God wants me to be, that godly person He wants me to be, that intelligent person that God wants me to be. I'm willing to pay the price. I'm willing to do that. And I decide that before the test. And I'll pursue wisdom before the test ever happens. So when the test comes, it's a lot easier to pay the price. Not always easy, but it's easier. Anyway, that's the thoughts for today. I hope you're having a good day, and I hope this is useful to you. Tomorrow, God willing, will be to verse 12 in Proverbs chapter 8. And in the meantime, I pray that God gives you a clear sense of what's worth pursuing. Have a great day.